We all long for a peaceful life. A life with less anxiety, without the constant inner battles. A life where we no longer have to put on a brave face just to appear okay every day. But the more we grow, the more we realize peace doesn't come from a quiet world. It comes from a mind that has learned to be still, even in the noise. In today's world where everything moves too fast, where news, expectations, and comparisons drain us, a Roman philosopher who lived over 2,000 years ago left behind a rule so simple it's almost surprising. A rule that if you're patient enough to live by it each day, it could change the way you experience life. You're at the calm within, where ancient philosophy becomes a gentle reminder in a world full of noise and mental clutter. Here, we don't chase peace by escaping life. We learn to live within it, with a quieter, clearer, and lighter mind day by day. And today, I'd like to share with you a small rule from Seneca, but one that, if you truly live by it, might change how you see everything around you. Part 1. Seneca and the Chaos of the Mind. Seneca did not live in a peaceful time. He was a philosopher, but also a statesman during the reign of Nero, one of the most brutal and unstable emperors in Roman history. He witnessed power being abused. He saw friends taken away. He himself stood on the edge between life and death many times. And yet, in the midst of all that chaos, Seneca still wrote about inner peace, not as a distant dream, but as a very real possibility. Because to him, what disrupts our peace is not the world around us, but the thoughts we create inside our own minds. Seneca once wrote, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." And if you've ever stayed up at night, worrying about something that hasn't even happened, you'll know exactly what he meant. Peace, then, doesn't come from avoiding chaos, but from learning not to let our minds become chaotic with it. Part 2. Seneca's Rule for Peaceful Living. And here is the simple rule Seneca gave us. See things as they are not as you fear they might become. It sounds simple, but living by it is a practice. Because most of the suffering we experience doesn't come from what actually happens, but from the story we add on top of it. A distant look, and we think they dislike us. An unanswered message, and we assume we've been abandoned. A small failure, and we imagine we'll never succeed again. But in truth, it was just a look, just a message, just a moment, period. The rest we made up in our minds. Seneca's advice is this: don't add to the story. Don't exaggerate the situation. Don't build catastrophes that haven't happened. When we learn to see things just as they are, our minds begin to feel lighter, because we are no longer living in imagination. We are living in the present. And the present is usually not as bad as we fear. This video might make you sleepy while listening, but if you've made it this far, thank you, truly. And now, let's continue. Part 3. How to practice this rule. Knowing the rule is one thing, but turning it into a daily habit that takes patience and practice. Here are 3 simple but powerful steps to begin with. 1. Pause before you react. Whenever you notice yourself telling a story, worrying, overthinking, tying emotions to an unclear situation, just pause for a few seconds and gently ask yourself, what is the actual fact here, and what part did I just add? This simple question is the moment when reason speaks. In the middle of emotional noise. 2. Write down what's unsettling you. When your heart feels uneasy, don't just sit with the worry. Take a pen and write. Write down 3 things. What actually happened? What am I afraid of? What story am I telling myself? When you write, you untangle the knots in your mind. Everything becomes clearer. And once you see it clearly, it no longer has power over you. 3. Practice stillness every day. No need for deep meditation, no fancy ritual. Just 5 minutes a day. Sit quietly, no music, no phone, and ask yourself, right now, in my mind, how many of these thoughts are real, and how many are imagined? The answer may surprise you, and you'll begin to see, when your mind stops exaggerating, peace begins to appear. Not because the world is more peaceful, but because you've become quieter inside. Part 4. A visual to carry with you. Picture yourself sitting beside a still lake. No wind, no noise. The surface is perfectly calm, like a mirror. But then, you start tossing in small stones. A stone of worry, a stone of assumption, a stone of past memories and imagined futures. Each stone stirs the surface. The ripples distort the reflection, and you can no longer see clearly. But if you stop, if you just sit there, just observe, no more stones, no more overthinking, no more made-up scripts. The water will calm on its own. And that is your mind. When you learn when to stop, when you stop adding what's unnecessary, stillness doesn't come from trying. It comes from letting go. The less you judge, the clearer you see. The less you add, the more peace you feel. A final word from the calm within. Peace doesn't come from having control over everything, because the truth is, you can't. Peace comes when you stop letting your mind blow things out of proportion, when you stop adding assumptions, when you stop building stories that haven't happened, when you stop hurting yourself with your own imagination. That's when your heart begins to feel light again. Light like someone who's finally stopped fighting ghosts. And this rule from Seneca, though simple, if you are patient enough to live by it, you'll notice the world may not change much, but something inside you will. And sometimes, that change alone is enough to begin a more peaceful life. Thank you for staying with me until the end of today's journey. If you're looking for ways to live more peacefully in a noisy world, stay with the calm within. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe, because sometimes a single right thought can change an entire day.